We got everything we need right here. Wine and burning chemistry. You and me alone. You and me alone. Inside of our embassy. Everything we need's right here. Make me sing along. Sing along. I never thought I'd ever be stuck by you. I never thought I'd ever be stuck by you. Oh, watch me dancing in the colors, lightning, blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. We got everything we need, right? Watch me dancing in the colors, lightning, blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. Yeah, we got everything we need right here. We got everything, moonlight on your naked skin. Summer's blind us to giving. Where you wanna go? Where you wanna go? Stars align onto your face. Pretty sweet, your sour taste. Make me sing along, sing along. I never thought I'd ever be stuck by you. I never thought I'd ever be stuck by you. Oh, watch me dancing in the colors, lightning, blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. We got everything we need, right? Watch me dancing in the colors, lightning, blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. Yeah, we got everything we need right here. We got everything, sharing all your deepest dreams, wonder what they really mean, yeah. In the empty bottle lies all the answers. Write down all your memories, feel the things you wanna feel, yeah. In the empty bottle lies all the answers. Oh, watch me dancing in the colors, lightning, blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. We got everything we need, right? Watch me dancing in the colors, lightning, blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. Yeah, we got everything we need right here. We got everything,
Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me? How are you? How's everyone today? So let me know that we can. Sorry, let me know that you can hear me. You all good to go? Okay, thank you very much. Yes, everyone, welcome to the podcast. Oh, today's going to be a heavy one and a big one. Thank you so much for being patient with me. As usual, whenever we have these type of crazy days, everything kind of just comes in thick and fast, and it's a lot of work to have to sit down and put everything together and just put everything together, put everything in order, and try to actually form a story and as accurate as possible story, especially because things can get misinterpreted sometimes. And there's a lot of things that have come out today that I think maybe got misinterpreted in different ways. And okay, we'll just get into it because it's just there's a lot there's a lot to talk about. Thumbs up, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. It's just, I mean, what can I say really? The pictures speak for themselves, right? And can I just say there was a squaddy earlier who made a comment about the way in which sometimes we approach and talk about the Cambridges, and that we need to be careful that we don't um, kind of become as bad as the other side. And this is in no way to attack that particular squaddy, because while I understand where they were coming from, I just want to make it clear that number one, in a lot of the things that I personally say about, and I'm speaking for myself, I personally say about the Cambridges, it's it's coming from a place of um holding them to account. And a lot of the things that have happened on this tour, had Harry and Meghan done the same things, they would have been very heavily criticized for it. They would have been torn to pieces. And Harry and Meghan and everything that they did while they were working royals, um, they did to perfection. They did in the best interest of making the firm look good. They did in a way that attempted to make lasting impact. And yet they were still heavily criticized, every single move they made. And so I don't think it's unfair to criticize the Cambridges. I don't think it's unfair to criticize the firm. This is the 300-year-old institution that has had all the time in the world to adapt, all of the time in the world to come into the modern age and modern era. They have all the money in the world and all the resources in the world to hire the best people to do the best job. So for me, the Cambridges deserve all the criticism. The firm deserves all the criticism, because at the end of the day, this is the institution that, and I'm going to say it because it's the absolute truth, wanted Meghan Markle dead, Meghan and her children dead. They wanted Harry's wife, Princess Henry of Wales, dead. And there's nothing that we can say about the Cambridges or the rest of the institution that is ever going to be as bad as what they tried to do to Meghan. So I just wanted to put that out first of all, before I get into today's podcast. Also, a couple of people have mentioned about trolls. Every single time the Cambridges mess up, and I have tracked this now, that it's a trend that happens every single time. It's like the trolls just come out of the woodworks. So please understand that this is not my full-time job. And yes, the moderators do the best they can, but this is not their full-time job either. They've got lives. So sometimes the trolls are going to get missed. And all I can say is to just ignore them and try not to get too much into arguments with them. If I see them, I will try to delete them. But if I miss them and they're just there, please just ignore them, because I can't get every single troll. And neither can the mods. We try the best we can to make this a safe space, but it is an open internet space, and sometimes things just slip through the nets. Okay, so that's that. So where to even start? Because there's just there's a lot to talk about. But I wanted to start with this. There was a post that Omid put out. Okay. So I wanted to start with Omid's post because I think it kind of sets the tone for everything that's going to follow today. So Omid said, a cheering crowd doesn't cancel out the feelings of Jamaicans standing up for reparations and accountability from Britain and monarchy, and neither does a protest mean people couldn't have been excited to see the royals. The story of this tour is incomplete without both elements. Now, I do agree with that. And I think what's happened is obviously because of people's anger, very justified anger. Kind of one side has only wanted to talk about the disastrous elements, but also by the same measure, there's another side that who are pro Cambridge, who only want to talk about those, those few pictures and videos of cheering crowds and make it look like, oh, there was no protest and there was no pushback. So I do think there are two sides, but I will also say this: I really didn't expect Jamaicans to be nasty in any way. I think even the individuals who protested respectfully, and really it's the Cambridges who have brought upon the disaster that this trip has been. It's them who have been recoiling from locals and officials. It's them who have been greeting people behind cages. It's them who have chosen to reinforce colonial stereotypes. And I'll get into that a little later in terms of the type of meetings with locals that they've been doing. But just in in general, the whole trip is proving to be a disaster. It's like one thing after the other. The optics are horrendous. And I think this is going to go down as the moment where the tide really did begin to turn. And you can see, even from the trending topics in Jamaica, Meghan is nowhere to be seen, but she is the one who's trending. She's the one who's trending over Kate. So I guess we can get into. Oh, see, I'm struggling. I'm struggling so much because it's just like, where do we go first? I guess I want to say, where are the body language experts when you need them? Where are the body language experts with this? Now, this particular picture here is the people who are pro Cambridge. This is the picture or the scene of crowds that they're kind of latching onto and saying, oh, all of the press coverage about the trip being a disaster is just a lie. Oh, look at the people that came out and met them. But you can see, even from these pictures, it's still very, very awkward. This seems to be the only kind of set of pictures that we have of them interacting with crowds. It's in a very enclosed space. So I don't want to feed into conspiracy theories or anything like that, but it does almost feel it, to a certain extent, it does almost feel like they created the situation where they could have, pictures of the Cambridges, around crowds and around these adoring crowds. And it's still, even these pictures that kind of seem a little bit more positive, it still makes my heart hurt, because to just see our people fawning over these individuals who we know tried to do what they did to Meghan, who we know were asking questions about Archie's skin color. Archie, who has pretty much come out aggressively ginger and white looking. They were still concerned about the darkness of his skin. But of course, that is in stark contrast to these photos. And a lot of people have been saying, well, it's not the Cambridge's choice. They just went where they were told to go. But it speaks for the tone deafness and where the institution is now, that this was allowed to happen, because the optics of this are just horrid. It's absolutely horrid. And I don't even understand, given the amount of planning that goes into these tours, how this could have been allowed to happen, and the fact that it echoes those human zoos from the past. I don't understand how they would not have thought more carefully about this. I do not think that something like this would have happened on a tour with Harry and Meghan, because we never saw anything like this. Okay, I'm just going to stop for a moment and take your comments. Movo, the Sussexes got criticised for doing good work. They got bullied for caring about causes that matter. The others get good press for smiling and doing nothing. Yes, and really, what have they done on this tour other than have a nice holiday? They've gone scuba diving, making chocolate. They've gone survival training in the jungle. Absolutely nothing that's going to have any lasting impact once they're gone. Um, I honestly think that William and Kate just thought this was going to be a walk in the park. They thought that it was going to be just like the old times, and we're just going to show up, and the people are going to be lining the streets, waving flags, bowing down to us. And that just hasn't been the case because we're not in old times anymore. Or Ebony Blair, Harry and Meghan would not make these social gaffes. William and Kate do because they are emotionally, um, uh, yeah. Well, yeah, we know that Harry and Meghan would not make those social gaffes. Um, Creative life. If they knew what was good for them, Meghan would have been 1,000 percent better at overseeing William and Kate's PR. Yeah. But they thought that they were just too good. Emerald, the family needs to come out of the 14th century and join us in the 21st century. The entire family is beyond reproach. After the way they treated Meghan and her kids, I have no sympathy for them. No, neither do I. I have no sympathy for them. And you know what? I sat there and thought about this this afternoon while I was having lunch. I really don't care if individual people dislike Meghan. They can never give you an actual reason as to why they dislike Meghan, but whatever. You have the right to dislike whoever you want to like. But it's just incredible to me how this woman who never had anyone say a bad word about her before she ever entered this unroyal mafia, how people could dismiss her pain, believe that she was the big bad wolf in this situation over a group of people who side with pedophiles, who befriend pedophiles, who are adulterous, who are essentially just grifters, who don't do anything of substance. They decided to side with that institution over over Meghan, who no one ever said a bad thing about her. And this is why, for me, and I think for many people in the squad, we take this, what happened to Meghan, so personally, because we recognize that what happened to her wasn't just directed at her, it was directed at anyone who looks like her, any person of color who enters a space where the powers that be feel like you shouldn't be there. Janet Smith, they asked them not to come. Walnut and Kate got what they've been dishing out. Karma. Yeah. And I honestly think that this is going to be the last Caribbean tour. If they know what's good for them, I don't think there's going to be any more. I mean, it's quite interesting. Both Sophie and Edward are also currently on tour at the moment, and there's been no drama from their side at all. Joyce, the crowd came out to see the soccer star, and they put the Cambridges into the mix. It seems like they were there to see William and Kate. Well, there's still a little bit of confusion, and I'll move on to that in a. I might as well just move on to that now, actually. So Raheem Sterling, who was an English footballer, um, he was asked to come over. Now, I do believe Raheem has like an MBE or something, and I guess he's being compensated nicely for this, but he should not forget how people treated him and his teammates after he missed those penalties for England. Um, but there is some suggestion, yes, that the crowds did turn up for Raheem. Although I have to say, and again, in the effort to be fair, I have not seen kind of the pictures of William and Catherine at the same event. Sorry, what I'm trying to say is I don't know if these pictures, these crowds here, are the same crowds as these. I don't know if they're the same. Either way, even if you look at these crowds, even if we're to believe that these crowds showed up for William and Kate, it's still nowhere near compared to what Harry and Meghan had. Nowhere near. We all remember that balcony shot with the hordes of people and press. Is nowhere near. But yes, they called in Raheem to help bring in the crowds. And yeah, I'm sure he got a nice paycheck for doing that. And they, I do believe that they played soccer earlier as well. Cypher, they may have paid these folks to be there. The children could have been taken out of class. They don't know these clowns. Yeah, because this is a Wednesday. So they should be in school. Creative Life, the picture is still in a tight frame, so you can't really see how many people are really there. It's like a Trump rally. Well, let's actually take a look. I've got a video. Let's just take a look. Oh yeah.
Guys, keep moving. Guys, on the floor, keep moving. Guys, keep moving.
Okay, so I'll let you make of that what you will. And there's also this one. I think this is either of the protests or of crowds of people. Sorry, I can't remember which one it is, but I'll just play it.
Of course you may. Can I see that sign? Can I see that sign?
Provided financial and other rewards for enslaved Africans that
Okay, so that was of the protests, and you can see that there were some pretty reasonable crowds. Now, Kate and William also went and visited today Andrew Holmes, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, and he said this upon meeting. And he did actually say this to their faces. They were in the same room, and he made this statement. He said, "We are very, very happy to have you, and we hope you received a warm welcome of the people. Jamaica is very free and liberal, and the people are very expressive, and I am certain that you would have seen the spectrum of expressions today. There are issues which are, as you would know, are unresolved, but your presence gives an opportunity for those issues to be placed in context, put front and center, and to be addressed as best we can. Jamaica is, as you would see, a country that is very proud of our history and very proud of what we have achieved. And we are moving on, and we intend to attain in short order our development goals and fulfill our true ambitions and destiny as an independent, developed, prosperous country." So put very diplomatically, but I guess you can see or hear the underlying message of what he was trying to say. I hope that he means what he says, and this isn't just window dressing to make people think that they're going to do something when actually they're not. But this would definitely be the first time that you had royals addressed in this way while on tour by a political figure of that country. Okay. Casemiro, why would soccer player Sterling allow himself to be used for photo ops? I am just going to assume that they're paying him. That's just my assumption. I mean, to get on a plane all the way from the UK when he could go to Jamaica anytime. Andreen, yes, all they've talked about really is Kate's clothes, like hardly anything to do with Impact. Oh, thank you so much, Brenda Phillips, for your super sticker. Much appreciated. Yes, Joyce, Harry and Meghan addressed the issue of colonization several times and there were critique for it. And had they had just faced this issue head on, you honestly wouldn't be getting the amount of pushback that they're getting now. I think this whole tour would have gone so much more smoother had they addressed the pushback and issues. And we also now have this, the Bahamas National Reparations Commission response to the official visit of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. They put out a pretty lengthy statement also. So, I mean, this is just going to keep coming up throughout their whole tour. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but Bahamas is actually part of their tour, right? So wherever, I'm assuming after Jamaica, they're going to go over to the Bahamas, and I'm assuming they're going to be met with a little bit of pushback when they're there as well. So Bahamas also making a statement. But going back to Jamaica, there was this that also happened. Just give me a sec. The situation with sorry, forgive me, I'm forgetting her name. Lisa Hanna. And she's a well-known figure in Jamaica. She's a politician and also a former Miss World. Sorry, I forgot to get the video, but you can see from the still, there was this moment in what people are saying was her shading Kate. Now, I've watched the video several times. I'm not 100% convinced that she was shading Kate, if I'm honest. I think a lot of people are kind of making comparisons to the Wimbledon gate with Priyanka Chopra, and also the way that Kate treated Meghan at the Commonwealth ceremony. But I'm not 100% convinced that she was shading Kate, just because both before and after that video was taken, there are pictures of them being very, very cordial. Also, I don't want to play into the narrative that Lisa shunned her, because to me, Lisa seems like someone who knows how to act in these kind of diplomatic situations, and she does seem to me like a woman of class. So I don't want to play into the narrative that she was being petty. Sorry, because she did afterwards come out with this statement, and she actually posted this on her Instagram. She said, "Today I welcomed Prince William and the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate, to Jamaica on behalf of the leader of the opposition in celebration of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. I had a very interactive and pleasant conversation throughout the proceedings as we talked about family, our cultures, and our people. There's no doubt at this time that we all seek our true independence and want to develop systems and strategies where we become free from the monarchy. But until then, we will always remain courteous and we will always remain a courteous and respectful country. I'm a firm believer in reparations, and as such, when I was Minister of Youth and Culture, I led the reparations committee." So keeping it classy, but still making it be known that she is very much in favor of reparations and in favor of independence for her country. So personally, I don't really want to play into the narrative that Lisa was shading Kate, because I feel like this whole black woman having an attitude narrative is one that they like to put out there. Okay. Casimir, the royal family have zero black or brown positive influences, and that will hopefully end this disgraceful evil construct. Well, now that you said that, that actually plays into something else that Omid said. Let me just put this up. Omid tweeted this, and he said, I do wonder what the hell palace organisers were thinking with some of yesterday's photo moments. The planning and recon that goes into every step of these engagements is next level. So how did no one think to avoid this imagery? This is why diversity on team matters. Now, I responded to this, and a lot of people, as you can see from the likes, agreed. But do you really need a black person on the team just to make sure you know how to treat just to make sure you know how to treat black people as human? Why can't the royals just do this without being told to in 2022? People of color would do a great job on the royal team, period, and not just to be the educator. And as much as I believe that diversity does matter, especially if you're going to be working with and collaborating with people from different cultures, there's a part of the whole diversity narrative that annoys me, just because it plays into this idea that you need to be educated by a person of color to just treat people who are different to you with respect, and that is always the person of color's job to educate you, and that we as people of color, when we're on teams, always have to take the role of educator. It's really not that difficult to just treat people as human. So while I do agree with Omid's sentiment, I did have to kind of come back with my statement, because I think it's really, really important that we don't always relegate people of color when they're in spaces like this to the educator, and that is always going to be our job. Yeah, Gwendolyn, it's just really disgusting no matter how you look at it. It really is. Oi. Yeah, Ginger, Lily, millennials and Gen Z, we're not going to put up with this flag waving BS. Not on this side of the century. Crack me up, love. I thought Bolt was going to be there because they had an article saying he had not spoken to Harry. Proud Bolt did not show up. Go Jamaicans. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that Usain Bolt would throw himself in the fire like that. Usain is a great athlete. He's even better businessman, and he wouldn't play himself like that. He wouldn't fumble his bag like that. Yeah, Sharon, the whole tour's a disaster. Frederica, hello, Frederica. This is what happens when KP hires exclusively from a small number of elite schools where everyone comes from the same social class, not having the others in your circle leads to ignorance. True that. But they had Meghan. This is just the thing. They had Meghan. All they had to do is listen to her and welcome her. Yeah, Gina, I have never seen Kate so attached to William. Even on the wedding day, she must not really want any black person close to her. Now, there's also been this little incident that happened. So I believe that this is the Minister of Culture or something like that. And she was, wait, I think I might have the video for this. Give me a sec. Okay, I'm going to play the video. Okay, now for me personally, I try not to get too petty about these situations, and there's a million reasons like why maybe Kate could have stepped away, something to do with security or whatever. Whatever, reason the people who are saying that people are making a big deal out of this video want to give. The issue is that it's not just this moment. And if I was to take this video on its own without everything else that's happened, I could just say, I could just write it off. It was just like a weird moment, and Catherine was kind of being awkward. But when you take it into the context of everything else, and knowing that this is the cultural minister, this isn't just some random person. It does sting to look at that video. Ugh. Casimir, this also shows how the descendants of the enslaved are not a monolith and that we will never be on one accord. That is true. Why would these black bodies all allow themselves to be abused again and again? That is a good question. Because I would like to ask every single person who showed up, what exactly are they getting from the royal family? What have they gotten? Yeah, Julia, she stepped away from that black lady who was trying to engage her. It was shocking. Yeah, well, but like I said, I don't like to nitpick too much about every single thing. Okay, um, but it's just like I said, when you take it into account with everything else, it looks bad. Yeah, crack me up. At least we didn't sit down without pushback. That for sure. That I am incredibly proud of. Not just of the Jamaican people, but everyone online who is letting their voices be known, even non-squaddies. Um, okay. Let me try and scroll down your comments. Miranda, these people had to believe all the horrible things about Meghan because it validated their hate for her. They can't admit it was about race, so they say there's just something about her. Yeah, and they do it all the time. They do this all the time. There's just something about her. They can never actually give you a reason. There's just something about her. And all of those people who had that attitude, they need to understand that they too are contributing to the downfall of the monarchy. Because we've heard the horrible comments about Meghan in the workplace, on podcasts, online, going about our daily business. The hatred towards this woman who did nothing other than exist in an elite space. So they should also understand, if any of them are listening, that they have contributed to this also. Black Queen, most of those people are impoverished and ignorant, deeper issues. They were more than likely bought out with the incentive of the soccer player and monetary award. Maybe. It wouldn't surprise me. Yes, Palena, first and last Caribbean tour. I don't see a tour happening after this. I mean, if you think about it, they went to Ireland. Ireland didn't particularly want them. They went to Wales. They were told where to go by the Welsh health minister. Scotland wasn't happy about them. So they're not even that welcome or wanted at home, let alone overseas. And really, after this, where do the Cambridges even go? With all of these images and bad optics that are coming out, where do they go? Do they go to Africa? Do they go to Asia? Do they go to the Far East? Where do they go? What do they do with themselves and brand Windsor? Hmm. Hello, if you're just joining us, please do thumbs up. 800 of you in the chat. That's amazing. Thank you. So, okay. I'm going to try and scroll down and through your comments a little bit before we move on to the next thing. So where are the so-called royal expert? Where's Dominique? Where are they? They know it was a disaster, so they're probably hiding. Yeah, they've been incredibly silent, haven't they? Incredibly silent, unbelievably silent. The only one that's really dared to yap his gum because you knew that they were going to find a way to try and blame this disaster on Meghan is Dan Wooten. He did actually do a feature on GB News today, hitting out at Meghan and blaming them for the so-called trouble that she caused. I don't know what trouble that Meghan caused he's talking about because Andrew was floundering around with teenagers before Meghan arrived. Prince Charles was friends with the pedo Jimmy Savile before Meghan arrived. They damn near well, they were pretty responsible. Well, I and many people deem them as responsible for Diana's death, and that happened before Meghan arrived. So I don't know what trouble they're talking about that Meghan caused. And then you had this article come out in the Mirror today, randomly, now talking about Prince Philip was hurt and spitting blood. Really? Was he? Was he now? We were wrong about her as a royal biographer is now claiming. So this is the PR pushback or the attempt at the PR pushback to try and smooth over, or sorry, to try and distract from the disaster. Take it back to Meghan. Meghan, who is pretty much just minding her own business right now and has hardly been seen or heard from. She was making Prince Philip spit blood, apparently. Christ. Ginger Lily, not only did they not have the crowd H&M had, H&M, they did not have to call in reinforcement. Yeah, they didn't have to call in anyone to help them plump up the crowds. The crowds came for Harry and Meghan. Gladys, you know those people got paid. There is no way those people are interested in Kane and unable. Well, who knows? Maybe in the coming weeks, months, years, we'll hear that they got paid. And nobody can say that it's not royal protocol to hug people and interact with people. Because Harry, Meghan, and Diana seem to have no issue with that at all, especially when it comes to people of color. And Miranda, I'm just wondering if the small crowds of supporters are compensated in some way because they look overly excited. Yeah, and also it's just the fact that the crowds seem to be like all in one particular area. It's not like they were spread out across the street, or it's like, were they all just told to come to that one place? It does just look a bit weird. Because it didn't even look like they were there for any type of appearance. It was literally like they just literally went there to be near crowds. And But another appearance that they made was this. And Nadine White, who's an amazing journalist, said, well, responding to the meeting of um, Kate and William being pictured next to Bob Marley statue, and also Kate and William, I think they did some drum beating as well. Carolyn Cooper, professor at the University of West Indies, told me Bob Marley's message was about emancipation, chanting down systems of oppression, and contesting the very notions of royalty that William and Kate represent. And indeed, in one of Bob Marley's songs, he says, and I build the cabin, I and I plant the corn. Didn't my people before me slave for this country? Now you look at me with your scorn, then you eat up all my corn. We're gonna chase those crazy bald heads, chase those crazy bald heads out of, and so on. So it is just a little bit tone deaf um, for them to try and use Bob Marley's image while ignoring Bob Marley's legacy and really what he stood for. B. Powell, the Prime Minister seems to be in the Queen's back pocket. He's not forceful enough, in my view. Yeah, because to be honest with you, I think that if he was forceful and he really meant what he was saying, this tour just would not have happened at all. All right, I'm just trying to scroll through your messages, y'all, because you are you've all got a lot to say today. Um, mm, 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 mm. Kashmir, why is Lisa falling all over herself to come across respectful to people who could care less? She should save her energy. Well, at the end of the day, she still is a representative for her country, and we don't want to play into the whole idea of angry black woman. So I wouldn't expect her to be deliberately shady, and I don't believe that she was trying to be. But it was interesting, like, to see the way Kate's face just drops. She did that whole Melania face. All right, Connie, this total tour has not done any favors. Weird and absurd, indeed. It's done the complete opposite of what it should have done. And there was someone on Twitter who made a very good point, and she said, let me just bring up her tweets. Right. So this commentator said, why do royals only meet with dancing people in the Caribbean and not business people or economists? And then somebody responded by saying, excellent question. They want them to play a role for them and put them in a box that fits their narrative. Look at the happy Commonwealth people. It's a drop in. It's a drop in. So why dig deep into the issues of that country? They do nothing for them. And then somebody else said, because they are still stuck in their colonial past, they do not see people of color as equals. And then Sunshine went on to say, for context, we've been told that the mostly third world countries in the Commonwealth are the Queen's biggest achievement and how much she's helped them in 70 years. Yet on these visits, there is never any publicized important moves being made to improve the lives of these people. In the comments, several have said it's good PR to dance with locals, but who sees this and thinks it's positive? Only white tourists. You're saying the visit is a tourism initiative to bring in foreigners while nothing is done to help the country itself. Interesting. Tourism, being the biggest industry in the Caribbean, keeps these countries dependent on foreigners. During the pandemic, Jamaica particularly was hit hard economically with only one stimulus payment given to citizens. What is the goal here? And somebody then also said, Meghan met with female entrepreneurs in South Africa during her South African tour. Girl means business, very resourceful and thoughtful. And this is true. Meghan and Harry met with female entrepreneurs. They met with organizations that were helping young girls. I do remember the self-defense class that they were given to young girls. They also, Meghan also gave a speech at a university. So while it's great to show the traditional side of these native people and their traditions, it's also really important to show um, other modern aspects of these people, their country, and their lives, and not just rehashing um, this same one-dimensional image. So I thought that was a very good point um, to make. Thank you so much, Connie. Ooh, today was a day. I'm telling you. Trying to get everything ready for today. Oof, I'm exhausted. Um, Jet, people like Dan Wooten are blaming the failure of their tour on Harry and Meghan. Well, they were going to find a way of blaming Harry and Meghan for everything. It's raining, it's Harry and Meghan's fault. The polar bears in the Arctic are dying, it's Harry and Meghan's fault. I have an eyelash in my eye, it's Harry and Meghan's fault. Maggie, is there a protocol not to touch royals? No, there isn't. Clearly not. And most of the other royals don't really mind reaching out to people, because even that video with Kate and that woman, even Charles wouldn't have done that. Like even Charles would have just taken her hand. So I think it really does say something about Kate, if you ask me. Purse phones, it's far too complex to discuss the idea of the colonial mindset. It's years of indoctrination that has fed into generations unconsciously. As an islander, I know. Yeah. But this is exactly what Bob Marley sang about. Mentally freeing yourself, mentally taking off those chains, because the physical chains have been removed, but the mental chains are still there. And I'm not saying that, you know, countries like Jamaica and Britain can't collaborate, but it has to be a collaboration. It has to be a collaboration that's equal, that's mutually respectful of both sides. Instead, what you have is one side that sees itself as superior and takes advantage of the other. Black Queen, nitpick till they bleed. Almost 7 years of nitpicking, Meghan relentlessly. This is the tip of the iceberg. Show those cold-blooded racists no mercy. Well, we are classy on this side, and we are not them. So, yeah, it's tempting to nitpick in the way that they did with Meghan, but I try not to kind of reduce myself to what they do. I actually try to be fair. Kashmir, Casimir, Belize coverage was trash. As well, they called them in indigenous people upset over land. It's just like, can you hear yourself? Yeah, this is the type of language that they were using in the Daily Fail. Uh, and what's so interesting is that the 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 likes of the Daily Fail readers who seem to be getting in a stink over the fact that these countries want independence and don't want a head of state that doesn't even live in their country residing over them. But who was it that voted for Brexit? Marina, yeah, imagine how many body language experts would have been all over British TV if it were Meghan. All over TV, online. They seem to have absolutely nothing to say about the Cambridges. Because, honey, the body language is speaking volumes. But moving on slightly, this was the cover of People, Royal Tour controversy. Facing protests, the couple must navigate a changing world. Now, this is a complete change of tone from what we are used to with People magazine, because we know that they were pro Cambridges. But the British editor who was heading People has gone, and they now have an American editor, and that American editor has spoken positively of Harry and Meghan before. So, complete change of tone with this new editor. Yes, Annie, the world is watching, and the British press cannot control the narrative anymore. Yeah, and the whole day has irritated me to death. People were going in on Twitter Spaces today. Yes, Edith. Whoopi Goldberg and the whole View panel were roasting them today. They even managed to make the View. Thank you so much if you're just joining us. Please thumbs up. Okay, let's scroll down. Yes, creative life. Meghan is in California, resting in her femininity. Amen to that. With her fine husband and cute children, and dogs and chickens. Black Queen. Philip is roaming around in purgatory as we speak. I think he woke up after the guards at Buckingham Palace started playing Stevie Wonder for Black History Month. He woke up. Yeah, Margaret, it's like 2 years after they left, and then all of a sudden that Philip comment comes out. And right on cue, just as a disaster tour is playing out. Miranda, if Philip was spitting up blood, that's because he was a soul-sucking vampire. I was actually going to do a video on like 20 of the most outrageous things that Philip has ever said. Like, he said that he wanted to come back as a virus. So if there is an outbreak of like smallpox or Ebola around the world, then you know that it's Philip. Well, thank you so much. Peace and love. Um, okay, let me scroll down so I can actually get your comment on the screen. Deb Bailey, when she was in New York, Diana used to visit Harlem Hospital and hug the babies who were born with AIDS. You can't fake sincerity or empathy. No, you can't. She truly cared for people, and this is what Kate and William just don't have. They just feel that they are literally untouchable. They don't want to give people any warmth or love or come down to a human level because they believe that they're gods. Wow, you lot have really been coming in thick and fast with the comments today. Thank you very much. Loretta, you can't teach people how to care about minorities. No, you can't. You really can't. Billy Beauty, I'm tired of Megan being hated on too. I had to delete my core account to get away from seeing hateful posts about her. It's sad how many people hate her so much. Yeah, and they don't even know why they hate her. Okay, finally, peace and love. I found your comment. And thank you for the donation. Is it true that they tricked all those kids into coming by saying the favorite football star was going to be there like a bait and switch? We're still trying to figure that out. That's the theory, but again, like I never try to state anything as fact unless I know for sure. But um, would it be surprising if they used him to get the crowds? No, because why else would those crowds come? And thank you very much, Black Queen, for the super sticker also. Do you know? Do you guys remember when I said I would only cover this tour if basically if drama happened? But it's not like I was hoping for the drama to happen. I was actually hoping to have a very peaceful week. I'm trying to write a book for goodness sake. Like I'm trying to write like 3,000 words a day. Like I'm not asking for this drama to happen. I actually want peace. But honey, the drama is coming and I have to do my job and report. Yes, Edith, Megan is happy under the tree. Exhausting. These people are exhausting. Joseph, nothing says we are not racist like being photographed grabbing the hands of black trapped behind a gate like unwashed and animals at a zoo. What a dumpster fire. Yeah. And those images are going to be just all over the internet, all over the world now. They're not going to post them in British tabloids, but they'll be posted everywhere else. Posted all over the web, posted in Auntie's WhatsApp chat group. Okay, so right, let's try to wrap this up a little bit. Um, what was I? What else was I gonna mention? Yes, just people noting just how tone deaf parts of the trip are. The diving Duchess. Um, I had actually. It's weird. I had actually predicted that they were gonna do this. I just wrongfully thought that perhaps they would read the room and not go scuba diving at a time when people in the United Kingdom are really suffering. But it just proves that us, the onlookers, can read the room, but the palace never can. But for the sake of making themselves look very impressive, I had actually predicted that they would be doing things like this, like scuba diving. We needed a nice follow up from Kate's piano playing, I guess. Yes, Lavender Rose, they relish the days of being bowed down to. Those days are over. They didn't get the memo. Philip Simpson, the British people do see them for what they are, but they are protected by the elite who also benefit from them being there. Prince Andrew, a perfect example, protected, everything hushed up, etc. Yes, and this is why you are going to have a lot of issues and blocks in the road if you ever wanted to get rid of the monarchy, because it's not just the Windsor clan that are the issue here. It's the position that they hold give other people in British society position too. And those people are not going to go down without a fight. To be honest with you, more and more and more, I'm starting to take the position that perhaps, at least in the media, and at this point in time, like outrightly abolishing the monarchy is not a good idea. And I say that for this reason. Number one, if you are going to start that process and if you're going to have that referendum, you're not going to be able to do that without it turning into a cultural war, into a cultural issue. And the country is pretty much divided as it is. And so I do think like there are other things that can be done. I think that you can hold individual members of the royal family accountable individually for things that they have done. I think that you can vote, for example, to take the royals off of the taxpayers' purse string. I think that individual former colonies can vote to remove the Queen as the head of state, but to actually abolish the monarchy, it's not just the Windsor clan. You're talking about the implications that would have for the House of Commons, for the House of Lords. And yes, you're right, Philip Simpson, because they are just so protected by the elite. I just think that there's other things that we can do first before we ever get to that point of abolish the monarchy. And perhaps if we do those things, you never actually have to abolish the monarchy. They just kind of fizzle into the background. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. Oi. Triffidilly, Philip's quote was, I want to come back as a deadly virus to solve oh my gosh, my tongue is just not working. To solve overpopulation. Wow. He should tell his grandson to stop having so many kids then. Don't start. So they invite themselves to the Caribbean, refuse to touch the residents, and expect reverence. The way they reveal themselves on this tour would be funny if it was not so aggravating. Yep. They thought that it was going to be a walk in the park. Casimir can't wait for Meghan to drop her book. All was not told in that Oprah interview. Yeah. I don't expect a book from Meghan for a very long time though. I think that it would be good for them to for karma to do its work. They're pretty much going to destroy themselves. And when the dust settles, then I think it would be a good time for Meghan to release a book. And I don't think that's going to be a good idea anytime soon. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, everyone. Really do appreciate it. Okay. What else did I want to mention? Wait. Wait. Okay, so some good news. Let's interject with some good news. SussexTimeline.com. So this is a project that some squaddies have been working on. The squaddies in question would like to stay anonymous due to doxing and harassment. But they are calling themselves timeliners, and they go by initials only, K and J. And they have been working on an online timeline, which is an interactive resource tool of historical data on the life and accomplishments of our beloved Prince Harry and Meghan, Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So their soft launch is going to be on March 31st. If you go to sussextimeline.com, I believe there is a countdown on there at the moment. I have actually seen the timeline. I think that they have done an amazing job. And I think this is going to be a wonderful way of just documenting all of the great things that Harry and Meghan have done previously and that they continue to do. So very well done to the timeliners, the squaddies who have been working on this project. And I do believe that they are going to create a way in which that individual members of the public can send ideas and notes for them to add to the timeline. And it's just so wonderful to see squaddies doing stuff like this. There are so many great things that I've seen the squad do, not just with the charity work and all the money that we've raised. You know, the Sussex Squad Cooking Club. I think they have over 300 recipes from squaddies from all over the world who have contributed to that website. I believe there was also Sussex Squad like fitness and hair care at some point. I even saw someone who was talking about maybe doing like Sussex Squad crypto and finance and stuff. So anytime you feel like creating something for the community, guys and dolls, please do not hesitate to you know that myself and Tina and Michelle and all of the other bigger Sussex Squad accounts will always support anything that is positive for Harry and Meghan and for the squad. So well done to sussextimeline.com, and please do go and support them when they launch. V Thomas, just got a message from my sister in Jamaica, and I was told that they went to Trenchtown, a poorer part of the country, and people were paid to show up. If she can get any like video evidence of evidence of someone being handed money, of receipts, like do the whole damn investigation, girl. Like call up the Guardian, get the evidence and call up the Guardian. Like let's get this investigation rolling, because if it's true, and you've got evidence, yeah, I say call up the Guardian, call up Ronan Farrow, send him a tip. Let's see who else might report on that if they had evidence. Maybe Daily Beast, Celeb Bitchy. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but I'd love for there to be actual evidence of this. Agnes, to me, William and Kate are really thick people and employ equally stupid people. No professional would allow half of the stupid stuff they have done on this tour. Tone deafness and terrible optics. And William is meant to be giving a speech that will mention that will mention the issues supposedly of slavery and reparations and moving forward. So we'll see how that plays out, because goodness knows he can't say anything without putting his foot in his mouth. Okay. Peace and love. There was a whole war to break free from the crown, so I don't understand why people don't get why they don't want anything to do with their oppressors. Well, I keep hearing this rhetoric that the Commonwealth is the Queen's greatest accomplishment, but like what? What has she accomplished? What she's accomplished is being able to hang on to them for so long without challenge. And mind you, Jamaica's a Commonwealth country. You still need a visa to come to the UK if you're coming from Jamaica, but you don't need a visa if you're coming from Australia or Canada. Casimir, all of the Commonwealth, sorry, if all of the Commonwealth countries would remove the Queen, it would lessen their platform and they would dissolve. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's very easy to just kind of jump on abolish the monarchy, but you and I can understand. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against the idea of abolishing the monarchy. I'm just somebody that tries to look at the bigger picture and what it would actually mean if you were going to do that. And for sure, it would turn into it would turn into a culture war. And the country is already in a very fragile state as it is. So there are other things that you can do to hold the Windsors account that don't involve doing something that would cause such a seismic shift. And yes, the Commonwealth countries individually drawing away to dissolve um, the power of the monarchy would be one of those things. Lenny Gillies, I'm from the States. Why have people always talked about abolishing the monarchy but never do it? For the reasons that I just mentioned. I couldn't imagine paying tax money for people to go scuba diving. Neither could I. Well, I couldn't imagine anybody doing it and justifying it. That's the bit that I always find confusing. Yeah, it's easy. They were trying to stick it to Harry and Meghan with the so-called tour, but it backfired major. And can you imagine now? Fast forward to Invictus Games. Invictus Games is going to be so successful and so popular. And imagine, like, it's just going to make this tour in comparison look even worse. Lavender Rose, great insight. It will take massive effort to abolish the monarchy, but chipping away at them will render them irrelevant. Yeah. I mean, all of this drama, and we've still got Prince Harry's book to come out and the next season of The Crown. And that's definitely going to remind a lot of people who maybe were not around during the Diana era of what the monarchy did. Joyce Bahamas is coming up. They have put out their letter too. Don't know if there is a protest, but Kate and Will are 3 for 3 in countries saying no. Yeah. Cho reasons they pay 3 million for peerage to stay within the House of Commons. They have 300 seating duck with no political policy change, but the Queen can pluck one for her own interests. You are right. Yeah. I mean, it's not just the Queen, Charles, Camilla, Kate, William. It's everything that surrounds the institution. Okay, so let's try and speed things up a bit. There was this that came out, dwindling numbers for the fail. So these are print numbers. The fail finally under 900k for the first time in a century. Note also the Mail on Sunday, which was the one sued by Meghan Markle, down 2% in a single month to just over 760,000. Hashtag Meghan Markle won. So print is definitely starting to dwindle. I think that's just a general common trend in terms of news. Obviously, with things moving online, I'd be interested to see what the online figures are as well. N.T. Powell, abolishing the monarchy is almost impossible as it is an entire machinery. Many people have built their lives around the royal family. It's their reason for being. The removal of the monarchy is not easy. Yeah, absolutely, N.T. Powell. But it doesn't mean that there aren't other things that we can do, which is why I mentioned all those other things. And I feel like even people who are pro-monarchy would get behind the idea of removing them from the taxpayers' purse strings. Because there's no way that you can justify paying all this money to a family that's so wealthy when you've got, what, 2,000 food banks up and down the country? How do you justify that? Pamela, maybe the sharks don't like royal blood. Well, I've never actually dived with sharks, but I do understand that often when they attack humans, it's because um, they're mistaking the human with something else. So sharks don't really actually want to eat people, and they don't. They usually only attack when they mistake humans for something else. Mm. Andrew, what happened to Meganpedia? I don't know. Did something happen to Meganpedia? I think she still posts stories on Instagram. I don't know if she's as active on YouTube anymore, but I still see her post on Instagram, so I think she's okay. Okay, so that's that. Also, we are 2 for 2 on the problematic YouTube channels, and I believe that this list is going to get more and more read. So far, Yankee Wally and Sue Smith. So that's 2 down, a whole bunch more to go, but I'm sure we'll get there. What else did I have? Nope. Okay, I think that's pretty much all I had. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. Yep, I think that's pretty much all. I don't think I showed this one, but there's just, yeah, it was just pictures of Kate and William. I think this was from when they were visiting the whole Bob Marley thing, and with I think there's that other picture is from Belize. But yeah, just please send in the body language experts, someone, because they never seem to be around when it comes to William and Kate. Okay, that is pretty much all I had to say. I'm gonna end as usual by going through the comments. And one more thing, because you all know that I am a fangirl. It is the 10th anniversary, 10-year anniversary of the Hunger Games, everyone. It is a 10-year anniversary of the Hunger Games. Can you believe that? Can you believe it's been a whole damn decade since Katniss volunteered? And I had to give a shout out to Rue and Thresh. So shout out to all my Hunger Games fans. This is a very big day for me. I'm a huge Hunger Games fan. And that will be all for today. Let's go through the comments. Joan Commonwealther, are you saying that the royal family should find legitimate jobs? Asking for several of my friends. Well, the Queen is selling dishwasher, ketchup, and gin. So are they not like technically influencers by today's standards? Press phones. Someone brought up Bell Hook's theory of eating the other, explaining royal family and White Britain's dilemma dealing with the new world where the formerly conquered one now has a voice. Good read. Oh, that is very interesting. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to take a note of that and actually read that. Thank you very much. I'm familiar with a lot of Bell Hooks' work, but not that So thank you for introducing me to that. I will definitely be reading it. Um, Uh, S- S- Sussex timeline that's so cool, a safe, positive, and great squad space is brilliant. Yeah, they've put a lot of work into it, so definitely go support them when it launches. True for Dilly. Wait, what? He better rethink that speech. Yeah, he's going to be giving some kind of speech. I hope they have looked over that speech 100 times before he says anything. Hidden beauty reparations could be implemented one day. Well, the British government just paid 400 million to Iran for uh, an unsettled payment. So it's not like they don't have the money. They've got the money. Lynn William is going to copy someone's speech. Mm. Yeah, Caesar Q. The speech has been written for him. Zahara, the difference between H&M and the Shambridges is like day and night. Mr. and Mrs. Doolittle have no soul. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are philanthropist humanitarians. They care. Absolutely. Mary, Britain is being sucked dry by its politicians and corporations, same as the US. Yes, Britain is a kleptocracy, essentially. A kleptocracy that is walking itself into a dictatorship. Yeah, Cho, they bought several of their own reporters, not allowing the country's reporters to speak. It's just abysmal. Oh, Sussex Timeline is here. Hello. Hello, Sussex Timeline. And Mel, it would have been good if they were paid to show up and not come at all. Yeah, but then they probably would have had the money taken back from them. If all the black countries in the Commonwealth band together, it can work. It can work, and there's no reason why, now that they all pretty much have made it known that they all feel the same way, that they shouldn't band together. Philip, there is a Republican movement in the UK. Yes, there is. There always has been. There've always been Republican, anti-establishment, working class movements in the UK. There've always been. Oh, no problem, Sussex Timeline. No problem at all. Please go and support Sussex Timeline, everyone, and I will be reminding you all when they launch. Oh, hello, 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 Anita. Thank you for joining us. Yes, cookies and cream. The Unroyal family has embarrassed themselves on the world stage. They opened up a Pandora's box by allowing Meghan to be constantly abused. Now they're reaping the harvest of their mischief. This is it. Not all Commonwealth countries have the Queen as the head of state. I think only 14 have her as head since Barbados removed her as head. Well, at this point, nobody can actually tell me how the Commonwealth countries benefit from being part of the Commonwealth. Um, so I don't even think that they should be part of the Commonwealth, whether or not the Queen is the head of state. If they're not benefiting in any way, and no one can seem to be able to tell me in plain English what the benefit of being part of the Commonwealth is. So what is the point? Oh, Invictus is sold out, really? That's amazing. I didn't know that. Thanks for letting me know. Yes, Angus, there's more food banks than McDonald's. Shameful. I don't even know how we've normalized having food banks in this country. It's really sad. Andreen, Rich and Famous will be Invictus. I'm sure that you will have some famous faces in those crowds supporting. Yes, and of course, the Queen and King will be at the opening and the closing. Can't wait to see it. Mary, surely they wouldn't let William speak on his own. He stuffs his foot in his mouth, sorry, in his throat every time he speaks off the cuff. I'm sure it will be a very carefully written speech that will probably steal from things that Harry and Meghan have said, or possibly even things that Diana has said, mixed into the speech. Whew. This tour has opened everyone's eyes. Harry and Meghan don't need to do or say anything. They've been validated and uplifted. Will be a surge of support for Sussex sent to those horrendous photos. Yeah, they're really just showing themselves. They really are. Thank you so much, CMAPS, for your support. I do try my best. Bertha, thank you so much for the super sticker. I live a life of service, and that's why I support Harry and Meghan. Good for you, dear. Service is universal. Doesn't matter how big or small that service is. Service is universal. We can all do our part, and when we all do our part, we make a collective difference. Thank you, Lucy Wynn. Yes, thank you everyone for coming to the podcast. Elaine, who's going to pay $13.99 for washing up liquid? Someone. uh, should I buy the washing up liquid and the gin and the ketchup and review it? I mean, you're buying washing up liquid from the Queen, so you can experience what it's like to be a maid and use the same washing up liquid as they do in Buckingham Palace. Does Sussex Timeline have a YouTube channel? I don't believe they do at the moment. Sussex Timeline, are you planning on starting a YouTube channel? Thank you so much, Denise Taylor, for the super sticker. Appreciate it, darling. Andreen, I've never seen a tour that was so exhausting. Oh my god, girl. Do you know how sore my back is right now? And like the whole of my left side is just aching because I've been sitting up trying to put the podcast together and also working throughout the day on my other things, on my actual life that I have away from the mess of the Cambridge's life. Um, Fortunately, I don't have a boo boo to give me a back massage. Your girl is single as a Pringle. Uh, Jenny's, when William was in Dubai, he had a person running in front of him telling the few people who showed up, mostly journalists, to cheer William as he passed them. Yeah, I remember that. So sad. And yes, cookies and cream. He needs to address the racism in his own family towards Meghan and her children. Vinny Blair, the UK has a lot of trade agreements with Commonwealth countries, especially produce. How fair those deals are is another matter. That's a very good point, and I doubt they're that fair or fair. They're definitely not fair to a degree that these countries can be independent and stand on their own. It seems because you know that anytime countries try to pull away from that hold that the West has on them, they always find a way to undermine their progress. Edith, are we still talking about Prince Philip? The man was 100 years old, let him rest. They're not going to let him rest, hun. They're going to drag him out and use him. If it means to crap on Meghan, they will drag him out from purgatory and use his name. Only Western countries like Canada benefit from the Commonwealth because the monarchy backs their economy. Hmm. But Phyllis, to be honest, I myself do not know what the benefits are of the Commonwealth Games except having access to a few scholarships and being able to take part in the Commonwealth Games. Well, on the issue of scholarships, there are many countries that offer scholarships um, that just offer them just because. So in that regard, the Commonwealth wouldn't be needed. Um, Being able to partake in the Commonwealth Games. I mean, are the Commonwealth Games even that popular anymore? Um, do those countries receive support to uh, so that their athletes can come and are the athletes sponsored to go? Do they have to sponsor themselves? Like those are the type of questions I ask. So I mean, if those are if those are two of the few benefits that we can think of, well then not really that much in the way of benefits at all. But Rochelle, I see Chris Ship on ITV doing cleanup, showing school children that was let out early to cheer on Willie and Bones, and Raheem Sterling help while playing down the protest. Yeah, they're gonna try and spin it all they can. Thank you so much, Lottie G, for the super sticker. Highly appreciate it, darling. And when it comes to William, I bet Diana is rolling in her grave. Unfortunately, yes. Poor Diana. She tried. She really did try, but the firm raised the heir and she raised the spare, and it's very obvious. Neva, and now I know why the kids showed up. I see Independent news showing William playing football with professional players. Yeah, he did play football with Raheem Sterling. You can't keep kids away from seeing professional black players. Yeah, that is true. My point of view, benefit was prior to UK joining EU, the Commonwealth countries enjoyed preferential tariff in trade with Britain, but then they were cast aside for the EU. Well, that makes sense. Thank you, Denise. I do try. Yeah, I'm gonna go get some rest now. Okay, who's gonna get the last word of the day? Oi. Yeah, I just blocked Helene. Or did somebody else block her first? Thank you. Reba, are KP staff trying to sabotage William and Kate? They certainly give them terrible advice. Harry said they gave his grand bad advice because they look ludicrous in Jamaica. Yeah, it must be the sad same people who are advising the Queen, advising William and Kate too, because it's one disaster after the other. Okay, I have actually managed to finally get to the very, very bottom of your comments. So, does someone want to give us a positive word just to sign us out? Who's going to have the last word of the day? Thank you, Cookies and Cream. Everyone, stay safe and hydrate. Thank you so much for putting up with me as usual. It was a bit all over the place, but there was a lot to put together. Thank you, everyone, for your super stickers today. Everyone, for coming. Please don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. And I guess we'll see what tomorrow brings. We'll see what tomorrow brings. I'll play us out. Bye.